The Premier League is back, and with Rooney scoring for Everton, Moussa Sissoko starting at St James's Park, and Stephen Ireland playing for Man City, we wonder whether we've entered a weird podcast time machine. We also question whether Chelsea did actually lose to Burnley, if Liverpool replace all their players with holograms at corners, and why Arsenal suddenly rate Giroud. Thankfully, Tony Pulis is there to pop this augmented reality bubble with a clean sheet and a single goal. Palace fans want to bore their eyes out, and that's not the last time I'll be using that pun this season, and are left with their pants down as Munier's brace supports Huddersfield's early bid to stay up. We chat about our predictions for the season, why getting sent off is the new in thing, and all the rest of the weekend's Premier League action. This is In the Mixer.
Woo!
Yeah. After missing the last episode, he's back and he feels like a brand new signing. It's Elias. Hello, my man.
It's me. I am back, and I'm ready to rack. Right?
Ready to you're back and you're ready to rack. Classic stuff. And also here, the only reason Birmingham and Schalke will ever get a mention on this podcast is Michael.
Hello.
Lovely. And the man trying to steer this podcast, even though it is already off the rails, is me, Phil. So, how are you two gentlemen doing? For the tell the lovely audience of about, I don't know, quite a few. We got 2 new followers on Twitter, by the way, at In the Mixer Show. Shout out to you guys, who we don't know, which is unusual. So thank you guys, and hopefully you will be the first 2 of many. So,
That's a sort of plug. I like it.
I mean, I did have a good plug. I did have a good plug, but that's come out of nowhere. But yeah, I'll go back to the original question. How are you two?
Great.
I'm doing well. Not working this weekend, and not working until Friday, so I am absolutely splendid. Except some of the few football results not going my way, but I'll have to live with that.
Birmingham winning. That's all I'm gonna say. And it felt good to have Premier League back because it's just football that's actually regularly on TV.
Football. The only football that matters is the Premier League. Never forget.
Oh,
So, should we just get into the action?
Let's get in the mixer.
In the mix. In the mixer. Yeah. So, the Premier League kicked off on Friday night. What was your thoughts of having football on a Friday, gents? What was your opinions on that matter? Because I know travelling fans aren't actually a big fan.
Oh yeah.
I think everyone else is.
If you're going, it's not always convenient. But at home, sometimes I work Fridays actually. But besides the point, for the general population, I think it's pretty good watching on a Friday night to have some sport on. Some Premier League on anyway. But like you said, for anyone that's attending, it's not exactly convenient.
It's nice having football on a Friday. I think, at least if you're not living in the country where the football is played, where you can actually not get there for a Friday. There's actually something to look forward on a Friday night if you're not going out or being a party lad. But but yeah, especially when you get games like Arsenal Leicester.
So we'll move straight into that Arsenal game then, if you want. 4-3 it finished. What a goal fest. Well, what are your thoughts on the game? I'll just shoot straight to you two. Give us your insider knowledge of the opening game of the Premier League season.
It was a good advert for the Premier League, being the first game obviously televised, not the first game of the season, being a goal fest. Not particularly defensively, but it was fun. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, definitely entertainment, and I like footballs on Fridays, so it's a good thing for me as a neutral.
We like football on Fridays, and we like Fridays
on football.
On football.
Yeah. Right. Some of the main talking points about this game then. Lacazette opened his account for Arsenal with a nice little header. I can't remember who put the cross in for that. Do you guys remember that? Oh, it was El Neni, wasn't it? It was El Neni's cross.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah.
And it was a nice little
it's a
finish.
Weird cross.
It was like side-footed, quite narrow, and I think it was Morgan who was meant to be marking, but he's not the player he was from that title-winning season, as shown last year. It got to 29 minutes. 29 minutes into the season before we saw Wenger out, trending. 2 goals.
Was it really? I didn't know that.
29 minutes, and it was Okazaki and Vardy with the goals to put Leicester 2-1 up. And then it was a equaliser from... Welbeck. There we go. I forgot this in the first attempt as well. Welbeck just before the break, and a really good time for Arsenal to score actually, because well, maybe not because they went 3-2 down later in the second half, but. Arsenal in the first 20 minutes I thought were actually really good, and if they continue that sort of style and play and don't, because they looked petrified when they went behind, especially at 3-2, 2-1, and they just looked like they couldn't keep the ball or anything. I think Rob Holding, we talked about him in a previous podcast way back, like a year ago we spoke about him, but yeah, I thought he looked very suspect on the ball actually. I don't know what you guys thought about Arsenal's early stage and late stages of the game compared to that sort of middle factor where they just looked like Arsenal of old, like they weren't going to get anything from the game.
They decided to clump their whole season's form into one game. That's how it seemed to be. They started so well, and like I think you maybe said to us on Twitter that you felt like Arsenal playing the way they were, this could be like you said, you had a suspicion that Arsenal could win the league this year, and like a sad suspicion almost.
They're in my top three.
Like the way they were playing the first and last 20 minutes, they really showed. But we've said this about Arsenal always. When Arsenal play really good football, Arsenal look like an incredible team. So it's they did look good though in those stages of the game, but they conceded 3 goals through mistakes too. It wasn't even just sort of well played Leicester goals or just bad defending in general. It was blatant awful mistakes that led to the goals mainly.
What I'm gonna say is that like they need to get their main centre backs back. They will not have anything to do with the title if they play with that defense. It looked so shaky, and it's like you just look at it. It's a 5-back, and there's four wing backs.
It really frustrates me seeing Kolasinac come over from Schalke, playing. He got his success at the end of last season from playing in the left wing back position, and then seeing him be put at centre back like Monreal just really frustrates me. And I know he played quite well going forward, but also conceded probably 3 goals because he's not a centre back, and they did well going forward because he's a left back / left wing back. And they really do need to sort this defence out. Like it is all well and good scoring 4 goals in the game, but conceding 3 to a Leicester side that, while they finished better at the end of last season, they weren't sort of free flowing and scoring lots of goals.
Yeah, they did end up finishing that game with a back 4 of Oxlade-Chamberlain at right back, Bellerin at left back, and Monreal and Kolasinac both arguably first position left back as centre back. But yeah, I think it's very much something that Wenger got pushed into rather than actively wanting to play those players there. As well, with their problems at the back, both Leicester's goals, all of Leicester goals, 2 crosses and a corner.
Oh yeah, but what a cross by Albrighton though for was it the second one?
Yeah, the second goal.
That was such a Mark Albrighton ball from the league winning year.
Mark Albrighton still not got an England call up. What is going on? Sort it out. Get him in.
He did play for Villa, so.
Yeah, well, the game did change right at the end then. 2 substitutions from Wenger. The hashtag Wenger Imbrogate will be very happy with this. 2 substitutes, Ramsey and Giroud on. We said in the previous episode about Giroud being that second option that they can, so different to Lacazette. Ramsey with a kind of a weird goal. Leicester sort of stood still. Yeah. It was very, very strange. The ball just came back in and everyone fell asleep. And there were about 3 men on the back post.
I thought something had been like blown up. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't think it was a goal that was gonna stand. I thought a whistle had been blown that obviously was like picked up on like the TV cameras or something. I was just like, oh okay, that's actually a goal.
Yeah, it was weird, but yeah, Ramsey was there to tuck it in, and then Giroud with the winner from a corner, goal line technology at use there. But yeah, I mean, he really did change the game. He set up Lacazette, I believe, and Lacazette hit the post, so he definitely was a straight impact in the game.
I thought Ramsey also made a really positive impact too, actually.
It was interesting. He went with the midfield 2 of Ramsey and Xhaka. He didn't really have a holding midfielder in there, but then Leicester were sitting back and weren't really causing problems on the break like they were.
Exactly. I think that's why Ramsey probably was more of a positive influence than what El Neni was towards the end of the game, anyway.
But I think when I was saying earlier about Arsenal possibly being title contenders, it's because when they do get their centre backs back, their first 11 is so good. It's up there one of the best attacking sides in the league, and they won't be needing to chop and change for Champions League games. They can literally just put their kids in the Europa League. I think Wenger said he's going to treat it like a League Cup or Carabao Cup or whatever it's called now, and it'll probably only be after the League and the FA Cup again this year. And if that is the case, I can see Arsenal putting in a very good performance in the league, because remember, the last two champions of the Premier League haven't had Champions League football in that year, and if it's a third, it will probably be Arsenal, but it could be Huddersfield, so we'll see. Anything else to add on Arsenal or Leicester, guys, or should we move on to...
I have a couple of things, actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
One I do want to highlight. I know Xhaka made in fact, two pretty big errors, but I thought Xhaka's passing in that game was incredible. Like, that was the player that Arsenal bought.
For his assist, definitely, but for the rest of the game, I think he actually gave away a lot of...
Well, that's what I mean. Like, the two big mistakes, obviously, were, but I think his passing in, like, for the more difficult pass, maybe more key pass, I think maybe I should refer to it to. I think they were the ones that, like, stood out as they're what Arsenal signed Xhaka for. And if he can cut out those mistakes and still keep those key passes in his game, man, they're going to create so much. And I'm not even a huge fan of Xhaka, and I know that, like I said, I know he made two particularly huge errors and other errors in the game, but I genuinely thought he played ridiculously well. Well, not ridiculously well, that's the wrong way, but like, his passing was inconsistent, but still incredible.
Yeah, I thought he played well as well, but I think his dip in performance in the game very much was parallel to the entire Arsenal team.
Yeah.
So I understand, like, it was his mistake that led to the second goal, I believe, or the first one. I can't really remember. But I don't know. Like, I feel like putting the blame. I suppose he did make the mistakes, but yeah, I don't know. Didn't make it. You know, he had a decent game. I'll just put it that way. Did you want to add anything specifically to either of these sides, Elias? Do you think Leicester are going to win the league?
They're not going to win the league, but I think definitely will do better than they did last year. And I think they're going to, as I did on my prediction, I think I put them like mid-table, like that. And I think that's what they will finish. But I also want to add that Arsenal had Mustafi on the bench. I don't know if he's just coming back from injury or if he was dropped.
I think he is, yeah.
Yeah, because that would be definitely better than having Oxlade-Chamberlain on the left wing back to start off with, and put Kolasinac out there instead. But that's just what I saw on the team sheet, and that's the only defender that they had on the bench.
I don't know where Mertesacker is. Is he out because of the the cut he got against Chelsea? Is that keeping him out?
I think so.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
I've got a quick question for you, Phil.
Yeah.
I know you're a big Welbeck fan.
I'm that guy Welbs. Yeah.
Yeah. Does Sanchez straight up just replace Welbeck in that team when Sanchez comes back? If Sanchez comes back.
Who were their front three? They had Ozil.
Ozil
had a poor game.
Welbeck.
Ozil had a poor game, didn't he? I don't know. I mean, it depends if Sanchez is there come the end of the transfer window, I suppose.
It's still rumoured, but would you think Arsenal would have the balls to drop out of form Ozil over in form Welbeck or better format? No, me neither.
Well, Alexis Sanchez is rarely out of form, to be fair, usually scoring goals. But, I mean, you may see it as Sanchez and Lacazette are too similar or something like that. And I think those four in the front three will be interchangeable constantly. And then you've obviously got options off the bench like Walcott, who didn't particularly do much. But that is, you know, the best teams have really good players to rotate. Except
Chelsea.
Except Chelsea, we'll get onto them in a minute. But if Sanchez is in a position where he's not happy with that, his contract's up at the end of the summer anyway, so if he doesn't leave, you know, he's going to be happy to sit on the bench for one more year probably. Arsenal won't sell him because, you know, they'll just give him away anyway, so it doesn't make a difference. So, yeah, who knows? Arsenal will just play his best team. Cause
what is the official injuries, guys? The abdominal problems?
Yeah.
Abdominal, yeah. Pulled his transfer muscle. Right, we'll move on to the next game then. Elias, I don't know if you want to mute yourself for this one or turn yourself down before the rant begins. We'll head over to Stamford Bridge and the shock result of the weekend. The champions falling to relegation
candidates.
Favourites for me and Elias, both putting them bottom of our predicted tables. Burnley Burnley, one away win the entirety of last season, and their first game is away to the champions, and they pick up all 3 points. Elias, I'm just going to let you go.
I really don't want to go. Like, I just think it's so unnecessary. It's
Okay,
just
instead of focusing on the negatives of Chelsea, can you give me the positives of Burnley, perhaps?
Positive of Burnley, they did well. Like, a Chelsea side with 10 men should still be dominant, and there was no hunger at all. And I'm going into negatives, but yeah.
And by the way,
Burnley did well. That's what I'm gonna say.
I think it's interesting what you say, because a lot of the big teams down to 10 men will still boss a team like a game like this. And even when you had 9 men, you know, you scored the second goal, and Chelsea still looked on top and looked like they were going to snatch an equaliser right at the end. But I just don't know what happened. That Cahill red.
It's so unnecessary. It's so bad. He can get the ball if he just runs with it. He doesn't need to launch for it. Like,
I think his problem there is he doesn't know what he's doing with the ball. He's got the ball, and he hasn't made up his mind whether he's going to pass it, just keep dribbling, or so when it gets away from him, his mind's sort of not in the moment, and he just lunges. He loses all sort of self-awareness, and he makes a really,
that's what
really
I was
bad
gonna
challenge.
say. I was going to say the way I saw it was a decision wasn't made in his head, and as soon as that ball ran away from him, he almost got lost as to where he was, everyone else was, and just launched himself in almost. It's it was so needless. If he didn't make a tackle there, nothing happens. No. Like there's nothing change. I don't understand. I don't understand.
Leave the ball, back off, defend.
Exactly. Yeah, I'll drop back into position and allow a midfielder to sort of take over that, or just let someone run at you.
Or you could just make a less dangerous tackle. You could just body check the guy, or something. But yeah, I mean, another man whose game only lasted 15 minutes due to his captain's silliness was Bogar, the young winger for Chelsea, who had to be subbed off and replaced by Christensen. Don't know much about this guy, Elias. What's your opinions on his Chelsea debut?
Didn't have time to do anything. Chelsea barely touched the ball, and like he ran around a lot and didn't get any passes outside the box where he should get them, because he's a very technical winger and he's super fast as well. So he needs to be that kind of Willian player who just takes the ball up pretty deep in the field and just run at people. And he didn't get the chance to do that, but I'll definitely think he'll play the next game against Spurs.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, obviously Hazard and Pedro were both out. Willian started.
Is Pedro back for the next game though?
I'm not sure. He's suspended, isn't he? Straight red card against Arsenal. But yeah, no, I was just saying. Is the Bogar player? I'd never heard of him personally. I don't know. He could be just really good, but I don't know whether him play. Was there better options for Conte, or was this him sort of saying to Abramovich that I need to sign one more player to boost the attacking ranks? Because there's definitely some mumblings of discontent coming out, especially after this result, from Conte and Abramovich, and that perhaps relationship breaking down slightly. I don't know if there were better options to
the only option he really had to pick was either to play Morata out wide, which didn't look very good in the preseason, or he played Charlie Musunda, who came on in the 89th, I think, to try and get that last goal. So yeah, I think he did the right decision to play Boga. Just a shame that he had to go off so early because of a stupid mistake.
We'll talk about as well Morata, like you mentioned, they came on, made a really big difference, scored a nice headed goal. Didn't he have a goal disallowed that he perhaps should have left?
Yeah, it's so hard to leave that though, because he probably is in the mindset that he needs to score goals.
Oh yeah,
he's such a
it's
small
instinct, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was like, even if that ball went through, he probably would have hit the post and in. Probably, but you never know. And yeah,
lovely assist as well.
Yeah, since Matt Morata came on, living the old days. Since Morata came on, the team got more hunger. They saw a striker that actually wanted to run behind the defense and actually do something. Because Batshuayi didn't, like, his first touch in the first half and the start of second half was actually pretty horrible. And it was a very frustrating watch, and the Chelsea fans also pointed that out with noises from the crowd. So yeah, Morata definitely brought on a fighting spirit for Chelsea, which I think was very positive.
I want to discuss the Fabregas red card as well, but we've got so many points for this game. We'll just put that down as stupid.
Stupid.
Stephen Ward's goal, screamer,
What is that?
lovely volley. Apparently he's got a cracking left foot in training. Apparently, and Sam Vokes goals, two poacher heavy goals. They've lost Andre Gray. Obviously lost Danny Ings a few years ago. Sam Vokes now looks like he's the main man. Talks of them signing Chris Wood from Leeds, who missed a few really good chances this weekend. If they did sign a striker, are you of the opinion, Elias? I can't remember. Did you put him in the relegation zone as well, Michael?
I think I put them third to bottom.
Okay. Well, are you guys of the opinion that they are still relegation candidates, or do you think this result completely changed that, or is it a complete fluke result? Because obviously with that red card, without the red card early on, the game might have been completely different.
The way I personally see it is that the reason I put them so close to the bottom was because of depth, that they have lost players, especially in an attacking sense. Like Burnley don't usually have problems particularly defending, but never really get goals from, in my opinion. So signing Chris Wood, maybe he'd become. I don't know whether Chris Wood would even take a step up to a Premier League, or and sit on the bench. Because Sam Vokes, even last year, Sam Vokes did score goals. I don't know how many he got. Yeah, but he did score goals. So I don't know. Like Sam Vokes is always going to score goals in that Burnley team because he is the goal scorer. So the reason I put them there was just because they have a lack of cover. If they would sign Chris Wood, and maybe I'd reconsider if they can keep scoring goals. Does the result change anything for me? Not particularly. Chelsea really were just silly, just stupid. But Burnley did really take advantage of that sending off. Like they scored their 3 goals quickly after Cahill got sent off before half time. Before they almost had a chance to Chelsea had a chance to take hold of what had happened and shift everything around. Conte shifted everything around, so brought Morata on. So yeah, I think they'll still be down there.
What about on the other foot? What about Chelsea then? What about their hopes for the season? A chance of winning the league completely dashed already?
I had Chelsea to win the league. I don't know about Elias. I'll let him give his opinion in a second. But I had Chelsea to win the league purely based on I thought Chelsea would come out just as solid as they had been. And I also thought it'd take a lot of time for these new signings to gel at other squads. I thought Morata was more of a... he'd just sort of slip straight into the team. And replace like Costa's personality. But with the sendings off, like it's 3 players they've got banned now, like straight up suspended. Or 4? Is it 4? I don't know. Moses as well. Yeah, but anyway, they've got. They need to really stamp out this discipline issue, because having players banned is the same as having players injured. Those best players aren't playing. You are gonna end up with young players making debuts, which really isn't going to suit you.
It really makes a balance, because Chelsea's a club that really sorts out injuries very well. We rarely have long-term injuries, and usually have them over the summer if we even have them. And now with all these yellow and red cards, it just balances it up. Like it's like having the injured players,
exactly.
But they just banned for 3 games. So yeah, it's just stupid mistakes, and it's just frustrating to watch. One more player that is very frustrating to watch, who has been frustrating to watch for me for a few years now, is Courtois, who I don't think is progressing as well as he should be. So,
what do you think that's down to? Any theories?
I don't know. Like defensively, we were absolutely horrible yesterday. But the first goal, he really should be getting. That ball is bouncing 3 times before, and he's not a very hard shot. So I don't know. Like he just looks afraid.
Yeah. Well, we'll. I'm sure we'll have another opportunity to talk about Chelsea's downfalls this season. Hopefully next weekend. But we'll move on to the league leaders at this point, coming out of this game week 1. Manchester United 4-0 victors over West Ham.
I thought you were going to the Huddersfield
baited.
game.
No,
yeah,
they're not top of the league. We're Sunday,
Oh,
mate. Sunday night. Yeah, Manchester United beating West Ham 4-0. We said we thought West Ham had a very good transfer window, signing on Arnautovic, Hart, and Chicharito. None of them made an impact in this fixture. Lukaku got a brace. Very good start to his career. A lot of pressure off his shoulders probably after that. And Pogba getting on the score sheet, always good for him, given the amount of pressure on his shoulders, and Martial as well. So, what did you guys think of this game? Manchester United, real title contenders, do you think? Serious title contenders?
Winners. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think seeing them definitely moved them maybe up in my estimations.
That's why, yeah.
They've gelled well, and their team's so solid. But I think the same problems are still gonna. If they aren't gonna win the league, I think it could be still the same problems that forced them not to win the league.
Well, we did say before that their problem last season was not beating the bad teams, and now they have Lukaku, who is an expert at scoring against bad or lesser teams, and that's the weakness that they had. So,
but also they had the fact that defensively they were always getting injuries. Like Phil Jones plays 15 games a season.
We started today, mate.
Yeah, but he's not injured yet. He can't get injured on the first game. But I think that's really fit as well to win the league for me.
Okay, well, we done on United's 4-0 win. I'm sorry, Manchester United fans. I didn't see the game. I cannot steer this in the
I
direction.
did.
Yeah, I did as well.
Oh, okay.
I want to say, Chicharito made a difference because he showed that he has quality, because he makes these runs, but there's no players in that West Ham team who can provide, a good opportunity for him.
It's incredibly frustrating to watch as well. It's so... Because obviously from the top-down view, you're sort of looking thinking, play him!
Yeah, he made really good runs, and if they had anybody else than Pedro Obiang, who misplaced probably 24 passes today, they would have had a few really good chances, because he was really showing where he wanted the ball and really showing that he wanted to score. And when he actually brought up the ball with play, he got fouled. He got very, very good routine fouls out of United, and that led to a few good free kicks that could have led to goal opportunities. But they just don't have the quality in midfield. I don't know if they need to do something there before, because Mark Noble and Pedro Obiang, that's not the creative mind that you need. You need a Paye.
That's the thing. First of all, just going back to a point you made before, the the fouls that he was getting. They were also, I think, Bailly and Valencia were booked.
Yeah.
Which is it's significant in the game because players are less keen to go into tackles, or if they are, it can lead to a red card, etc. But also, I think only one of the runs was spotted, and that was by Noble. And like you said, Obiang misplaced so many passes. I'm pretty sure was at fault for one of the goals, completely at fault for one of the goals.
Yeah.
Lukaku, was it Lukaku's second?
The first one? No, it was the
was
first,
it the first one.
Yeah.
So and I know they've signed Arnautovic. It was a bit of a strange signing for me because I don't think he was particularly incredible at Stoke, and his delivery was awful today. West Ham do have a pretty good aerial presence. Ogbonna is definitely, Reed as well, and when Carroll comes back, if he goes into the team, that too. But I don't think Arnautovic beat the first man on one of his deliveries, and that it was frustrating to watch.
One positive I take out of Arnautovic's performance is that he actually looked like he was trying, and that's one of the things I didn't see with him at Stoke. He was just walking around the pitch.
Lazy.
Yeah, and he looked a lot better in that regard.
I think he was probably asked to help defensively because, maybe in that left back position, West Ham are a little bit weak. So.
Yeah, I don't know why Cresswell was starting on the bench, but when he got brought on, I see why he was, because he felt a bit rusty, a bit not match fit really. Mm-hmm. I usually see very good crosses out of him, and when he got down that left wing, he either put in a really weak cross or turned back like he didn't have any confidence, or just rusty and not match fit.
Yeah, I agree.
So, like, to take out of that game, West Ham definitely need a midfielder, and they need to start and try and spot Chicharito's runs, who they really are world-class runs. They just don't have a world-class delivery to give.
Okay. Well,
So there's your analysis done for you, Phil.
thanks, guys. Appreciate that.
You didn't even
really.
need to ask any questions because we've covered it all.
Thank you very much.
That's all right.
From Manchester United to Manchester City, then. 2-0 against Brighton. Brighton made a good stab of it. Kept your City out for quite a long time. What did you guys think of Brighton's performance up until that first goal? Do you think they've got what it takes to stay in this division?
They were really like defensively sound. I think they actually did a good job in the first half. Of course, they were under siege by a City who predominantly are the better side, and they really should be winning by 2-3-0 like they did now. But they didn't show that quality in the first half, and I think Aguero was one of the problems because he was missing chances and he was just fumbling on the ball, which is not very like Aguero.
Aguero-esque. I think it was a case of sort of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I think Brighton did defend really well as a unit and did soak up pressure more than try and counter, etc., etc. But also City were really wasteful. I think there was a lot of City seemed to move the ball well and get the ball sort of like inside forward position or like Walker to sort of like cut it across the box, and then there was sort of never anything really came from that. Whether it was players not really committing to going for those crosses, or whether it was just poor cross or well defended. So it's just sort of seemed that City had a drill with that, and it didn't really work, and Brighton stayed compact.
What did you mentioned Walker there? What did you think of Manchester City's signings? Obviously, Danilo started on the left, I believe. I can't remember if any of the others. Obviously, Walker played.
Bernardo Silva came on in 70th minute.
What did you think of those guys? Did they make a big difference?
I think Kyle Walker did. Like, he really showed why they signed him. He had one cross, just a Man City cross, just across the box, low driven. That Aguero should have scored, but he shot completely in the air and missed the ball. That should have been 1-0. And he kept doing that. Didn't really get the balls in, but he really showed why they bought him. He's a really attacking threat down the right side.
Yeah, I thought he added quite a lot to City's game. He did give that overlap and almost like a second winger like role. He played it really well, and I think that City have kind of been missing that really, a bit pace there, and
he could really cause problems. He could get potentially a lot of assists this year.
Cutting that ball across to Aguero or whoever really is just lining up for it. Because that seems to be their plan. That seems to be City's plan, is to play that way inclined.
It's going to be interesting if he can keep that up for a whole season. Because obviously with Spurs, he had the Trippier rotation. Obviously they have Danilo, they have Mendy, who I believe was injured for this game. So unless Danilo's going to be covering left and right back, and they just have 3 fullbacks going into the season, it's going to be interesting to see if he can play with that intensity and that amount of running for a whole year, effectively.
They didn't really get tested defensively, so we'll still have to see if they are the best out of the 3, Danilo and Kyle Walker. But I think definitely Mendy will be the number 1 left back. Danilo is probably going to cover a bit everywhere. Probably play centre back or defensive midfielder some game.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think he's going to be one of those fullbacks who actually is moulded into that defensive midfield position?
Yeah, we talked about it. Like Pep's very, he does this a fair bit with fullbacks. So maybe Danilo will be his, because I don't think Kyle Walker would be able to do it.
So that's a waste of Kyle Walker.
Yeah, exactly. And so Danilo's probably more that way inclined.
Aguero scored the goal, obviously the first one for City. It's funny you say about Brighton having many chances, because Dunk, the Brighton defender, he seemed fed up with it. He decided to just power a header right back past his keeper, who arguably actually the keeper probably should have done better with that, I think. Right, Huddersfield next. A big 3-0 win at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace. Oh, man. I think
But rubbish.
Ian, Ian Wright summed this up best on Match of the Day, where he said they're currently going through a transitional period of moving from Sam Allardyce's team to Frank de Boer's team, and them clashing styles is a really sort of awkward area they're in now, and they're probably going to go through a few games where they do struggle, and they are probably going to go on a bit of a rough patch. But what did you guys think of Huddersfield specifically? Obviously a big win for them. Anyone who thought they were going to go down, now probably second guessing themselves at least. Yeah, what did you guys think of Daniel Wagner's Huddersfield side?
Great crossing side, like really on point crosses, and I think that's a bit of a change, seeing that in the Premier League, since we've got all these, if you can call it rubbish wing backs who can't cross, and then Huddersfield comes in and completely changed the game and just hits pretty much every cross. It was really a joy to watch.
Yeah, they played the same way they did in the Championship, really. They haven't really changed much in that they played actually very attacking, and like Elias said, we use their wingers well. And I think I think we're probably going to highlight that Palace's defence was awful.
Yeah, completely
really
disorganised.
But that play like that from the wings can make defences look really bad, because it's not something that's common in the Premier League. And if you're hitting really good cross every time, it's not necessarily something that's easy to defend. So it can almost make defences look worse than they are. And maybe Huddersfield are going to find their sort of ISP or USP, sorry, in that their unique selling point.
Brilliant, thanks for that.
Well, no, it's just like I don't know. I don't know another way to put. That could be their individual thing in the Premier League that boosts them to some sort of success, or like staying up.
Palace did create a lot of chances though. They had the majority of the chances, and Zaha in particular wasted quite a few.
Had him in my fantasy team.
Munier scored twice, 2 well-taken goals. Did have a lot of chances though. Definitely should have scored a hat-trick. So you do wonder if he is going to be one of those flash-in-the-pan strikers who sort of just who struggles to keep up for the season, because he definitely looks like a striker who needs confidence. But yeah, signs good for them in the early stage of the season. We'll see what they do come next week. We're moving to Watford-Liverpool now. 3-3. I know this is going to be quite hard to hear for Liverpool fans, so I'm going to go straight to Michael to soften the blow before we move to Elias's what will probably be quite violent analysis.
What? Why would my analysis be violent?
Not yours, Elias's will be violent.
Oh,
you're
no,
easing
mine
everyone in.
Mine is still probably quite violent.
Well, help yourself to violence.
Watford were quite good. Liverpool are a team of 5 players. There's
this analysis.
There is an attacking team and a defensive team on 2 very different frequencies.
2 different levels, I think, of ability.
Yeah, and I think it's not an issue that's being addressed, and poor Joel Matip's included in that. And it's
Klopp going into the season with Moreno seemingly as his first choice left back.
If he was happy to do that,
I don't understand.
Surely as a Liverpool fan, you sort of see the team sheet at the start of the season. There must have been a youth player that's come through really well.
But in all seriousness, he has said fairly recently he's happy with his defence. I cannot believe it. I cannot.
Come on, how can you defend it? Surely you must look as a manager completely delusional.
So, my team conceded 3 goals to Watford. I was happy with that performance.
We didn't say he was happy. He said he was very disappointed in the 3rd goal. He said the 3rd goal was offside. There is an argument for that, but that if he uses that as the excuse, if he uses that as the excuse and just completely ignores the fact that they were awful from corners, especially, Liverpool are going to have a really tough time if they don't address this, and it comes down to Klopp sorting this out. And if they do let Coutinho go, they definitely have to sign some players.
Oh, I'm allowed the floor. Okay.
Oh, God. Yeah, you said you were going to start, so I was like, yeah, I'll leave you to it.
Okay, no. Okay.
Oh, I'm on the floor. Walking
just
out
sort of
in an
picture
empty
myself in the
dance
middle of
floor.
this
Yeah. Oh, right before he
But-
circled it.
I just randomly restarted the recording, so no one actually knows what that entire bit's about.
Okay.
Just go.
So yeah, Liverpool's defense is awful. They keep making these attacking signings. Salah actually looked good. Good is yeah, he looked good. I still think Liverpool have a lot of signings to make. They can't start with like Alexander Arnold and then being like, oh, we can fix this and bring on Joe Gomez, or halfway through the game, sort of changing Milner and I don't know. It didn't work, did it? That's Liverpool's main issue. Watford looked, I don't know, good, but Liverpool made them look like more polished than they were. I don't know.
They had that season a couple of seasons ago with Agallo and Deeney just free scoring. Now they have
Yeah.
Akako, who started the season really well. They've got Deeney option, and now they have Andre Gray. It looks like they actually have that striker situation sorted out. Yeah, so I think Watford could be in for a good season with Marco Silva in charge. Back to Liverpool, the Coutinho sale. They're going to bring in a lot of money. Elias, who would you buy if you were Jurgen Klopp and you had, say, £120 million from this?
Ryan
Coutinho
Babel.
sale? Wow.
They've got Dominic Solanke though, right?
They got him, but he's not a winger. And I seriously don't know what
Origi?
I don't know what they can do with that money, because I think players look at Liverpool and they see, oh, well, you can play with these amazing players, Mane, we can play with Firmino and Salah, stuff like that. But then they see the defense and it's like, do we really want to do that? Like,
But I mean,
you're
Van
not going to
Dijk
win
and-
any titles with that defense.
No, but players like Van Dijk and Keita have expressed the want to play for Liverpool literally this summer. So players do want to
They're
go
not
there.
there.
Yeah, but that's because of Liverpool, not because of the individuals.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to make you are what you make your team. You have to show the intent by making those signings. City have done it. City have shown that they had problems and they've gone out and spent money. Chelsea had needed a striker replacement, so they've gone out and committed to Morata, very similar style of player. United, Ibrahimovic isn't going to be there, so let's sign like you have to show the intent in your signings. Salah is not much of an intent because that's not a problem area.
So who? So go back to it then. Let's say, okay, when they sell Coutinho, who would you replace him with?
I don't know.
I have no idea who would I don't
I
know
don't know.
a
They're too
winger.
late. It's really late. It's not too late, but it's really late. Other teams have had their business done and sorted. If they should have had the defense sorted out, then the Firmino problem wouldn't be that greater of it be an issue, but it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be as immediate as the. But now it's mounting up on Liverpool that it's sort of, oh shit, the season's here. That's how it feels to me.
I don't understand. They did look good at points though. There is
Oh
some.
no!
Some
But
pros
don't
to
get me
take.
wrong. I'm not saying that Liverpool are going to be an awful team this season, but I think Liverpool are not advancing. Like Jurgen Klopp is not bringing Liverpool forward. Liverpool should be able to challenge for the title with natural progression, or they should be at least getting like third, somewhere like that. Like they should be getting Champions League qualification, and you can't say that the intent has been shown to want to do that. And as a fan, it must be awful.
Okay, just a few more games to talk about then. We'll move on to Spurs next. Beat Newcastle 2-0. I don't know what you guys thought of Spurs' performance. Completely different to the team that ended last season. They were slow, no penetration. I mean, you could put that down to Newcastle and their defending, but this game definitely turned on one major, like the Chelsea game, turned on one major incident, and that was the Shelvey red card. What did you guys think of that red card?
It's so stupid. It's just a Shelby thing to do. It's just lost it. It just lost it. I don't know why.
It's just a moment of strange frustration taken out that's going to lose your team the game. And that's literally what it did. Because, like you said, Tottenham were not showing any signs of penetrating Newcastle up until that point. Tottenham did grow into the game, I thought, in the second half, but it was obviously
because of the red card.
Exactly that.
And it was just stupid. Especially he's the captain of Newcastle. He's the exemplary player. He's the leader. He's the one that shows a particular a skill in teamwork, etc. And that was just an awful display. It was embarrassing. I'd be completely embarrassed as a Newcastle fan for that to happen.
Yeah, he was wearing the
And
armband.
I didn't actually see it at the time. I didn't actually see it, and I thought, oh.
I saw Ali's reaction, and I didn't think he actually made contact.
That is because from the angle it looked like he stepped. He didn't step
Close
on him
to
because it didn't look like a step and then press. It was just a step and then off.
I think Newcastle's. I've noticed a couple of times Newcastle's tactic perhaps was to wind Ali up, and maybe that's what Shelvey was doing, thinking he was being smart. But the referee's looking right at him. He has the ball at his feet.
And Shelby looked at the referee before he did. They both made eye contact, and then he just sort of did it.
And then he reacts. Oh, it's just
ridiculous. Shocked. It was ridiculous, and it ruined the game. But I thought Ericsson was brilliant.
It didn't really ruin the game. It was an awful match.
It was, but it ruined the game for Newcastle.
Oh, yeah, the bright spots for Newcastle. I thought Atsu was very good on left against Walker Peters. Newcastle did have a shout for a penalty. It probably would have been a penalty, but unfortunately for them it was offside. Spurs, amazing. They're Davies and Walker Peters as their fullbacks. Trippier injured, Walker gone, Rose injured, possibly going to leave. We don't know, although he's officially given an apology for that interview. Without those pacey wing-backs, which is such a big part of Spurs' game to stretch the pitch, they look average. They look so poor. It's like AVB Tottenham all over again.
Yeah, I agree. And I even said to you just before the podcast, and he said save it for the podcast, but like Dembele didn't. You said Dembele looked usual, but I thought Dembele looked out of sorts. He didn't look strong and confident on the ball, and they lost the ball a fair few times. I thought you like a strong point of Tottenham's teams last year was your defensive passing kind of thing and how you could spread the ball, use the wings well, and it wasn't there. Ericsson I thought was good after the red card, going good with his passing and holding the ball well, but it was after the red card. I thought Kane was really average.
He had two really good chances.
He had two really good chances, yeah, and like the one where I think it was a Newcastle player that played it through, wasn't it? Because it was offside.
Yeah, it sort of bobbled. Yeah.
Yeah,
it was just one-on-one.
I really want to. I'm really looking forward to seeing Spurs next week
against Chelsea.
See how that game turns out, because I think that'll be an interesting one, because it's two teams that had very different results, obviously, but two teams that have not started the way they probably would have wanted to. Because I don't think Spurs were I know they're not at full strength, but I don't think they played well at all today.
I don't necessarily agree with the fact that Spurs didn't keep the ball. I actually thought that's one of the things they did do quite well. But they didn't necessarily move it forward.
Dembele lost the ball quite easily, and there was a few misplaced passes. Like I think, like I said, Ericsson held the ball up really well, and didn't particularly lose it. Even Walker Peters sort of kept the ball well, but it was more just, like I said, Dembele individually looking out of sorts and losing the ball in positions he wasn't usually. And like I saw Vertonghen misplacing a fair few passes, longer passes that just sort of end up going down the line and become nothing. But Tottenham as a whole didn't lose the ball a great amount. Just individually, the changes to a team that finished second last year.
Elias, quaking in your boots for next weekend?
I don't know what to believe anymore. Like, I was not impressed by Spurs. I was not impressed by Newcastle. I was not impressed by Chelsea. So I don't know what I'm gonna go for next weekend.
I reckon 1-1. Spurs score from a set piece and Morata scores for Chelsea. That's my prediction.
Nice.
Okay, we'll move on to Everton. A nice little story here. Wayne Rooney returning to Goodison Park in the Premier League and scoring a goal. I was very happy for the guy.
Great goal. He's moving away from the ball and heads it in with that what's called power. It was a really good goal and a true Rooney goal. I feel.
He's almost got a yard of pace back because of all the pressure of United has been lifted off his shoulders. No, it's great to see someone playing for a club he obviously loves. What do you guys think of Stoke's chances this season? Berahino is your main striker. It's got a spell worrying times, surely.
I think I tipped them to be relegated, and I think I'm gonna stay with them because I don't see any potential in that squad. It's probably Shaqiri, but he rarely shows up. Other than that, I don't see any real potential to do anything this season.
Yeah, I think that really struggles. I think I put Stoke below mid-table because it's just Stoke. Stoke have a tendency to finish there, and I think there's a lot of teams that are worse than them. But yeah, I think they will struggle. I think they will struggle in a lot of bigger games, especially this season.
I really liked with Everton's team selection as well. They've obviously signed all these top players, but they still managed to get youngsters like Calvert-Lewin in and starting 11, and I think that's important to them because such a big part of Everton's Premier League tenure has been the introduction of young players and really helping them progress. So it's going to be interesting to see what else they can give us this season in entertainment value.
Yeah, and imagine that motivation for young players playing with a player like Wayne Rooney who's come up from the Everton Academy to go into that team and just be inspired. Like, I would definitely be inspired.
Oh yeah, like it must be. I think it's a real good mentality to have. And on another note, I thought Everton still created a lot of chances, and they've still got Ross Barkley to come back.
And Sigurdsson arguably coming in as well.
Yeah, so Everton could be, as we thought with the signings they made, good team. But no, like the like inclusion of Calvert-Lewin's brilliant. But Alexander-Arnold played for Liverpool this weekend, so
I think Everton, yeah, there's a very nice goal. I don't think they fully hit their stride. I think they would have won this game 3 or 4-0 if they were really comfortable together. But their goal was a really nice goal. Lovely little pullback from Sancho down the wing. Great cross and, like you said, fantastic finish from Rooney. West Brom v Bournemouth 1-0. A very Tony Pulis performance. Jay Rodriguez, it's nice to see him back playing football, starting the game, and I thought looked quite sharp. And it was the loan. Is he a loan signing? Hagazi, the Egyptian defender who scored the only goal with this one. Defoe made his Bournemouth debut as well. Well, not his debut because he's technically already played for him, but his Premier League debut for Bournemouth. Don't know what you guys think of these two teams' chances this season.
I think Bournemouth are going to do better than West Brom, and I just think they need to get to full scoring. If they get to full scoring, they'll stay up. If they don't get to full scoring, they'll have a hard time. And I think West Brom is one of the teams. I tipped them to finish 18th, I think, because they're just two average players, and I don't see Tony Pulis doing it one more season. Even though you say that every season, it still comes for the relegation spots, but it's just such a boring team, West Brom, for me.
Yeah, a team of too many average players, I think. It's sort of players that never really quite or are past it. Not past it, that's unfair on Craig Dawson, but...
Oh, wow.
But it's... yeah, I think West Brom will struggle, mainly for goals this season. I think Bournemouth will be in for a similar season to last season. I think they'll do really well. I think they'll excel towards the end and pick up points off teams that are just not struggling. Because it seems what Bournemouth seem to do well. They take advantage really well.
And then on to the only 0-0 draw, the final game. Southampton versus Swansea finished 0-0. Not really much to talk about it. Southampton really did dominate the game. Didn't take their chances. I think Tammy Abraham had a couple of good chances for Swansea, but a draw. I mean, Swansea, I think a lot of people are tipping them to go down because they just don't seem to have a very good squad.
A good draw for Swansea, I think. Who I think will definitely be in the relegation battle. But if they can get Tammy Abraham a few goals, and probably maybe if they sign Sigurdsson or sell, I mean, they need to get somebody in for those pennies they get.
They'll sign Boney, guarantee.
Yeah,
a re-sign Boney or something like that.
Boney, Abraham, and Fernando Llorente. That's three tall strikers.
Actually.
Yeah.
Never mind, scratch that.
Yes, it's still going to be tough for Swansea, I think, no matter who they even sign. I think just like general squad mentality and throughout the squad's qualities, relatively low, but a really good confidence boost with that draw to like soak up all that pressure because it really was dominated by Southampton. 29 attempts on goal. Southampton had, fun little fact for you, to Swansea's 4. So they'll be happy. They'll take a lot of confidence from that they managed to keep a clean sheet at a place that's really difficult to play at, actually. Where is it? It's not a stadium where you go and win games. Like Southampton are very good at home. So
is that from personal experience?
yes.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's all the games wrapped up. Do you want to quickly have a chat about managers? Who do we think is going to be the first manager to walk? We'll have a little prediction here. Or walk or be sacked. Sacked, both count. I think in the hot seat right now is Conte and Benitez at the moment.
Frank de Boer, I think.
Really think
See, this, I was thinking that, but I don't know whether they'd get rid of him so early.
It just feels like, because he didn't do a great job at Inter, and like it feels like such a Frank de Boer thing to move outside of the Netherlands, go to Internationale, then move down a bit, and just keep going down because he's not a very good manager. I don't
It's
know.
a Zola.
Yeah, maybe.
I think Mark Hughes is in trouble.
I was about to say, I
Yeah.
think Mark Hughes could really be. If Stoke begin to tumble and show signs of relegation, I think they'll get rid of him quickly.
The first manager to go, though, is usually someone who's upset and just leaves rather than being sacked. So I think if you're looking at that, you're looking at Conte, Benitez.
Conte.
Pulis has history of that.
Moxel.
Marcus, has he? Wait, what?
I have no idea. He just feels like an angry man.
He feels like,
seems
I'm leaving.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
seems quite nice. A nice lad.
Right.
So yeah. So what are we saying? Hughes and De Boer. Pretty solid bits. What about Koeman? What about Koeman having a massive breakdown after Everton draw to like Wigan? In the league? Wigan aren't even in the Premier League.
In the club.
Imagine
Right,
if it was
let's
that.
reassign host for a bit.
Mate, Blackburn drew
broken.
Burnley in the cup. That's a derby. Blackburn Burnley, big one.
Yeah, they lost to Doncaster, Blackburn.
Yeah, there's two losses for the Championship favourites already. Worrying times. Worrying.
So just to finalise the podcast, I want everyone's opinion on this at the In the Mixer show
On Twitter.
or on Twitter
in the
or
Mixer podcast.
in the
at
Mixer
gmail.com.
podcast at Gmail. I was getting there. Just because you're the host, you don't have to do all of it.
I do.
So
everything else.
Birmingham City women played Lancashire girls in a friendly today, I think, or a cup game, and they beat them 22-0. And as is normal, the Birmingham City women's Twitter tweeted out the goals, like commentary. And Lancashire girls' Twitter put a tweet saying, "To be clear, we felt the reporting of a 22-0 friendly result was unneeded in an era when thousands stopped playing the game because of it. Hashtag throw the game."
Grow the game.
Grow the game, sorry. Grow the game.
Throw the game. You're throwing all sorts of allegations. Oh goodness.
I want to know both of your opinions on this. So, usual Birmingham played. They beat someone 22-0. They tweeted it out as usual. Do you think it was unfair treatment of this?
Well, no, because they didn't know it was going to be 22-0 at the start. Unless they just stopped at like 8-0.
Maybe people are stopping to play for Lancashire girls because the
They're
staff
shit.
are stupid. Honestly,
I
I
don't
saw
know.
that, and I don't. And there's even people tweeting them saying, "Serious question: who benefits from such an imbalance in quality in a pre-season game? Don't agree to the game if you don't want to play it."
There's like these two teams.
In fact-
are friendly. I don't know what the gap of skill is. I have no idea.
I'm completely wrong. They didn't even play Lancashire girls. They played West Brom women. Just Lancashire girls decided to get involved. Stay in your own county. Get out.
Hey,
Wigan's in Lancashire, isn't it?
Wigan is.
Wigan.
But they played West Brom, so.
Oh dear. Wigan
Oh,
getting
no,
too many
no.
mentions on this podcast.
Secret Wigan fan.
ears, do you have them?
Should we move on to the Kaka thing as a final note?
Oh, yes.
The interesting Kaka red card, thanks to VAR.
VAR.
Is it?
VAR.
What is it? Video assistant referee? Is that what it says? Or video
Probably.
something? Yeah. Anyway, But basically, Kaka was having
Video
some fun with his
absolutely
buddy on the
rubbish.
other team. Brilliant. Yeah, some fantastic banter. He was just messing about, like putting his hands over his face like a mask, and everyone was laughing about it. But because the official ruling is if you touch a player's face, you get sent off. He got sent off for it, and it was.
But the
was
referee was
interesting.
following the letter of the law, and therefore it shall be defended when appealed.
We'll tweet out the video on our Twitter, so have a look at that in the Mixer Show on Twitter, which literally is just plugged in. We'll yeah, it's a very interesting moment, and a great advert for VAR, an advart, as you could say.
Advart.
Advart.
Phil.
All right, fantastic.
All right, chill, calm down.
Okay, we done? We good?
I think we can wrap up.
Yeah. Goodness me, this has been a slog. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening. To the In the Mixer podcast. My name is Phil. I will be wishing you goodbye, as will these two lovely gentlemen, Michael and Elias. Say goodbye, gents.
Goodbye,
See ya.
gents.
See you later. Goodbye, guys.